Okay, I want to
Okay.
address the elephant in the room.
Not the elephant.
Usually we match each other's fly, but today you look like you're dressed for the summer and I look like I'm dressed for the winter.
I look like I'm about to go work out.
You do.
Nah, I didn't want to get all dressed and fancy just yet. I
That's
was going to be
fine.
uncomfortable.
I just wanted to address that just in case our viewers noticed that. I called it out first, so
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We believe marriage teaches us more about ourselves than we would ever find by only viewing ourselves from a distorted lens.
Don't believe us? Stay tuned if you dare to form a different opinion about yourselves from each episode. This
This
is
is
Unfrequent
Unfrequent
Talks
Talks
with Jenny.
and Aaliyah.
How are you, baby?
I am wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really am.
Oh my goodness. We had a great weekend.
We did.
we it was a little crazy.
It was really busy.
It was really busy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We gotta figure out this schedule. Especially me. I gotta figure out my schedule.
Yeah. You got a lot going on.
Yeah. I really do. And it's only gonna get busier and busier
hmm
and busier. I'm excited though.
Me too.
Yeah.
So, what's up for discussion? What's on your mind?
Um, mm, I don't know. I was talking to myself in the shower.
Love that.
I was talking to myself in the shower, and I was just saying and thinking, just like how much of our personality isn't really our true personality.
Ooh, tell me
Because
more.
as kids, obviously, our parents influence us
Yeah.
to the 10th degree because we're coming into this world not knowing anything about anything. So obviously, children are like really curious about everything around them, and parents either push you to be more curious or they restrain you from being curious and they push their beliefs onto their kids.
Yeah.
Or the opposite can be said as well, where they don't teach them anything and they just like throw them into the world to figure out life, to figure out who they want.
Right.
And so, I don't know, I feel like a lot can be said and talked about parenthood. Like so much. But um I was just thinking, to myself like, "Oh my goodness, a lot of my personality that I thought was me wasn't really me. It was just because of the way I was raised and my
hmm
culture and stuff like that." Because we often talk about how I'm the extrovert and you're the introvert,
Yes. Yes. That is true.
which is crazy because uh, people that knew me in school probably say the opposite. They're like, "Oh, she was such an introvert. She was quiet," and I was.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was me. I thought I was shy,
hmm
but mentally, I was always struggling. Mentally, I was always like yelling at myself, like, "Oh my gosh, just speak up. You want to say this so bad." But then I would force myself not to because I'm like, "No, I'm shy." But I'm not shy. I'm not
You
shy
are not.
at all. But that just goes to show that, like, in my culture, women are told to not talk, that, like, our opinions and our thoughts aren't really that important.
Yeah,
So just don't say anything.
that's
Don't say
true.
anything at all. So yeah, that's what it got me thinking in the shower, and I'm like, holy crap! Like
Yeah.
once you reach a certain age, like you really are discovering yourself. You're trying to
I,
figure out who the hell you are.
yeah. I honestly think that we are at that stage in our life where you are learning that life is a do-it-yourself project.
Mm.
So, and that also goes to say that the personality is shifting. It's
Yeah.
kind of at its peak where it's like, are you going to accept this personality the way it is and the
Mm.
way the world has kind of warped you into thinking that your personality is set to be?
Yeah.
Or are you ready to peel back the onion and, you know, revise that and say, okay, you know what? I don't like that part of me. I like this part of me. So let's do that.
Mhm. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so true. And
Yeah.
a lot of people aren't taught to just go out to continue to explore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. That's
so
true.
that further solidifies their personality
It's
of just sticking.
scary. It's scary because like and you really see it in corporate America because I'm still in corporate America.
Hmm.
You see a lot of older people. They're very comfortable where they are in life,
Yeah.
and we pick at it a lot. We call it people being in their box. Like a lot of people are afraid to come out their box to help others. They're just like, nope, this is my box, and if something comes in my box, I'll take care of it. If it's not coming in my box, even though it's something to do with me outside the box, I don't care. And it's scary to me because it's like, at what age did you stop being curious? And
Yeah.
that is one of the things that I'm so happy that you never tried to halt within me is like my curiosity because I will go down in the grave being curious in the bed, sick as hell. I don't care. I'm still going to be curious and pointing at our kids and our grandkids and their grandkids because that's what life's all about. And that's where you really discover yourself in the things that you really never thought you could do because you didn't step outside the box.
Yeah, that's why you see oftentimes older people, people that are, like hit that 50 or empty nester stage,
Yeah.
and you see them like go out and people are judging them like, oh my God, they're too old to be trying to new things. They're too old
Fuck
to be trying
that.
to skydive or trying to travel the world. They should have done that when they were younger. But it was like, no, they're finally able to say to themselves, you know what, I've put myself into this box long enough and it's time to discover who I really am. And it's beautiful to watch, people that are older really discover themselves and fill these shoes that they always wanted to fill, but
Yeah.
were always so afraid to do so.
Hmm.
It's beautiful. At the same time, though, it's really like heartbreaking because it's like, oh my gosh, you didn't feel that comfortable doing that when you were younger. And you
Yeah.
felt like X, Y, and Z kept you from doing all these things. So you
Yeah.
always gave yourself excuses like, oh, the kids, oh, the bills, whatever. And
I never want to
it's
get
everything
to
excuses.
I never want to get to that point where I allow external conditions to take over what I really
Yeah.
want to do.
No. No.
Especially like having children. I know we don't have children yet, but that was one of the reasons why I was kind of scared to have children is
Mm.
because it's something that you see a lot of people allow stunt their imagination and their
Mhm.
potential and their ambition. And for me, I'm like, oh, hell no, because I love that part of me so much. And I see it die in people so soon, as soon as a kid has come about at the scene. So I never wanted that to happen. And so when I realized after having conversations with you that your ambitions are just as alive and well, just like mine are, I'm like, okay, I feel good now. Like I feel comfortable that we won't try to hoard that, not hoard that, but try to mask that within ourselves because of a child coming into the world.
Yeah, absolutely not. Like I've seen too many women feel like that's something that stifles them,
Yeah.
for whatever reason that they want to give themselves, um, is, fair to them
Right.
because that's the situation that is present for them at the moment and there's nothing they can do about it.
Hmm.
Um, or so they think just yet.
So they think.
Or so they think. Um, so yeah, I was like, no, never, never, ever, ever. And that's why when we first started dating and asked you, you wanted to have kids and you said no,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's where she's at right now. There's
Oh wow.
no point in me trying to change her mind.
I'm gonna Hank. Oh. Go. I don't want to play right now. Go. Go. Relax.
Hank, you are really
Relax.
messing up the vibe,
Relax.
dude.
Relax. Thank you. Relax.
Hank,
Relax. Relax. Now.
go lay down.
Do you want to go in your crate? Relax.
No.
No. You're not playing.
Not happening, Hank. This is literally what he's been doing all day to me. I'm like, dude.
What were we saying? Totally lost
Totally
my train of thought.
threw us off guard. Goodness
Oh,
gracious.
you said you were okay with me saying I didn't want kids yet because that's where my headspace was at the time.
Yes. Yes. And so yeah, I am not one, and never have I been one to convince people.
Yeah.
That's why I am comfortable at where I'm at, the company that I'm at right now, for my real estate career.
Yeah.
Because like I can be myself. I don't have to be pushy like another agent, even though that gets them their business. That's
Yeah.
not me as a person. I'm never one to push something onto other people. Because I saw what that felt like
Yeah.
on the receiving end
Mm-hmm.
as a kid. So I was like, no, never, never again. So I didn't want to do that for you. I'm like, you know what? If she never wants to have kids, I think I'll be fine. Like, I'll just force her to have 1 billion dogs and she's gonna deal with it.
I was telling one of my coworkers that today, because she's experiencing a new relationship with someone, and they're in the early beginning stages, and they're in like the
Oh,
honeymoon phase,
little puppy love.
and she's and this brings up PDA.
Okay.
She's not a fan of kissing, PDA kissing.
Okay, it's
But
like
she's a fan of like holding hands.
okay.
And then the guy she's dating is the opposite. He's a fan of receiving a kiss, but not holding hands.
Oh wow.
And so somewhere along the lines, they have to meet each other in the middle. But I was telling her, I never been one for PDA until I
Nothing.
met you. I was like, when you first used to do it, I'm like, whoa, like you gotta relax because we can do all that back at home. We just going out to buy some milk and some cereal. But I told her, I
I
was
need it
like,
all.
at the end of the day, you become a product of your environment. You eventually you're the one that's given the PDA first before she even tries to do it. And that's where I am. I'm holding your hand or I'm kissing you on the cheek before you even try to do that to me.
I know. Oh my goodness. Isn't that so crazy? You
Yes.
didn't want nothing to do with it.
But
It
I
was
say,
so crazy.
and I say that because the right person will bring that out of you. Just like
Yes.
children that brought that out of me because of our marriage, and also the PDA because of the person you are. Like, I'm like, oh, I am a person that likes to do that. And it goes back to what you said in the beginning of our episode is we come up in the world and we think that's the personality we're supposed to carry because that's what people perceive us to be. But really, the world is your oyster. If you don't want that perception of yourself, change it.
Yeah.
And it starts with attitude and thinking. That's it. Because thinking makes it so, as what Shakespeare said. Something along those lines.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Isn't that so funny though?
Yeah.
That's so great. We had to work a lot on ourselves because of the personality we thought we had. Because that's what our individual parts
Yeah.
kind of told us to
Yeah.
be, because of the things that we experienced. And that's okay. We're grateful for them.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me, it was definitely hard to try and like tone myself down. Even now, I know I'm a little intense sometimes, a lot of the times. So it's like so difficult for me to tone down.
What do you mean tone down?
Like,
You have an example?
yeah, okay. One example that kind of worked out was the whole PDA thing.
Okay.
Where you were like, you used to say that you don't want me to you didn't want me to initiate the like hand holding or like the PDA when we were out and about. Like you wanted me to stop all of that and allow you to make the first move.
Mhm.
Um and that was a struggle for me for a while. For a couple it was a struggle for me.
Because you wanted to default to your original position,
Yeah.
which is like
Which
you
is
make the
like
first move.
yeah.
Okay.
And that's definitely gotten us to where we are now, where you are like the first one to reach out. But I had to really like train my brain and say, okay, you kind of have to tone it down because obviously this is the comfort level that like she has to get used to. You can't force this on your wife because
Right.
this is just not her yet. Yeah, I had to remind myself constantly that like I have to let you come to terms with the whole situation. The same thing with the therapy. That was really hard for me to reel in because I'm like, I want to go to therapy with you. Like, I want us to go to therapy.
Hmm.
And you kept pushing back over and over again because kept I kept like saying it over and over again. I wasn't reeling it in. And it wasn't until I finally like threw my hands up in the air and said, "Okay, I'm done. Whatever. Do whatever you want." That you were like, "Okay, now that she's," and this is just me assuming, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like now you were like, "Okay, now she stopped nagging me. Now I can finally go and do this on my own."
Yes and no. Yeah. It kind of goes back to compromise.
Okay.
I think at a certain point I think you just finally realized like you got to meet me in the middle somewhere, and it
Yes.
started with allowing me to take the first step and picking and choosing the therapist and
Mhm.
doing the therapy on my own individually before we did couples therapy.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I think that was one of the reasons why I say uh, no, because you came to your own terms with it. And
Mhm.
then I say yes because it did get to a certain point where I'm like, I, fuck therapy. Like, no, we're not doing it because you pushing me to the limit, and you got to relax
Mhm.
because I don't want to feel like you was controlling me. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't want that.
Yeah, that's very much your personality. Your personality doesn't like to be controlled.
Not at
Your
all.
personality likes to be in control. And I'm not saying it as a bad thing.
Yeah,
It used to be a bad thing.
it did.
It used to be where anything had to kind of be run through you because of the situation that we were in. And it wasn't until many a moons later that you were like, okay, I can let go of control.
And I think I started learning that, and it's interesting. Marriage is really interesting because
Isn't it?
you learn a lot about yourself that you never ever thought you would need to know about yourself to help yourself.
Oh my gosh,
and
that's like really well said.
and I one of the things I learned is you are really good at giving up control and working out for you. For
Mm-hmm.
instance, it could be as simple as planning a trip.
Mm-hmm.
You are really good at just letting the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
And things actually do work out for us. But for me, I'm the total opposite. I want an itinerary. What are we doing at 3 o'clock? What are we doing at 5? Can we wake up at 8 instead of 9? Like, I need to know something prior to doing it. And when I started letting up, things started going into like the way I wanted it to go. And I was like, oh
Mm-hmm.
man, but it's so hard for me to like not do it because I'm so used to doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But because of your personality, it's rubbing off on me. I'm starting to relax and be like, it's okay.
Ooh.
You're all right. It only kicks into gear
Yes.
when, because at certain times, yo, carpe diem, it don't work out. I'm like, all right, this is what we're ready to do.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and then I get annoyed because I'm like, this is why I don't plan stuff.
Wait, this is why you don't plan stuff, or
This
this
is
is
why I
why
don't have
you
stuff lined up in advance
why?
because it just doesn't work out.
But I'm saying the opposite right now. I'm saying that's why you do need to think about planning, because when you decide not to plan and things are going haywire, I start to plan accordingly.
Wait.
Does that make sense?
No.
You okay, did you say this is why you don't plan?
Yeah.
And
This
you
is
don't
why I don't plan, because when I do, it just doesn't really go according.
to plan?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
And
talking
then
I was saying
I
like
get
when we
upset.
do it your way. Like we went to DC
Yeah.
and I was like, "Did you get the itinerary?" You're like, "Nah, I ain't got an itinerary." And we're sitting there and we're watching this homeless guy and you're like, "Look, I'm watching this homeless guy. You're looking for a place to eat." And I'm like, "Let's just walk. Let's just let my nose take us to wherever we're going to
Mhm.
go." And that's what I mean by like you not planning. I'm like, "Come on. Like let me drive the boat, let me control it and get us to where we need to be." And we got some food.
I know, I know. And that's exactly what I mean though too. Like, to your point, I was like, okay, we're gonna go to this spot and it's gonna be good and it's gonna be fine. And then we get to that spot
Oh, and it was
and
a
it was like a
disaster.
complete disaster. Now I'm like annoyed because they didn't have any food, annoyed because I'm hungry, annoyed because I'm like, I don't want you to be annoyed
I get it.
because you get so hangry.
I do.
And I'm just annoyed. And you were like, "Ah, okay, let's just go."
Okay, that makes sense. All right. I was looking at the other side of the situation.
And that's when like you just come in and you just kind of grab the reins and you're like, "Whoop, let's go."
Yeah.
Hmm. I don't want to bother you with like making any type of itinerary though, because I'm
Because
like,
you don't like planning, right?
I it's not, I don't think it's not that I do. I think it's just like it gets overwhelming because then I start thinking of like, okay, is she gonna like this or not? Because then I'm like, I don't want to continuously have to ask you, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about doing this? Hey, what do you think about doing this? Hey, what do you think
Uh,
about if I add this? What do you think about this restaurant? And I'm scared that if I just do it, that you're gonna be like, yeah, no, this is a no.